Okay, guys, we've got a short period of time today, so I think we should kick off. And if anyone else joins us, they will do so during the meeting. So thank you and good afternoon to everybody for joining us. For those that haven't met before, my name's Anwar and I'm the Individual Giving and Legacies Officer here at Your Place. It's a pleasure to welcome you to this short lunchtime webinar. We're going to share some first-hand insight into the challenges faced by those who have lost their homes and the amazing difference that your support has already made. Before we get started, just a quick bit of housekeeping to keep things running smoothly. If we could please keep our mics and cameras off throughout the session. The webinar will be recorded. If anything comes to mind as we go, do feel free to drop your questions in the chat. We'll gather them up and address them during the follow-up at the end of the webinar. So today is really about impact, your impact. Whether you've volunteered, donated, partnered with us, or simply shared our mission with others, you've already helped build stable foundations, strengthen support, and create brighter futures for people experiencing homelessness. And in the next few minutes, you'll hear from the team about the difference that support continues to make and the difference you can still help to create. We'll be hearing from 3 of my colleagues today, each sharing insights from their own areas of focus, along with 2 short videos featuring residents telling their stories firsthand. So to begin, I'm delighted to introduce Fauzia, our Head of Services, who will give an overview of the key service we provide here at Your Place and the impact your support's already had. Over to you, Fauzia.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Fauzia, I'm the Head of Services at Your Place, and I oversee our frontline services supporting people experiencing homelessness alongside mental health challenges, substance use and complex trauma. The core of our work is about building trust, relationship, managing risk and helping people move from crisis towards stability and independence. And then that often starts with something very consistent and being there. Today, I'll give one your support makes possible. I will share who we support, the challenges they face, and the impact we've seen across our services, because behind every number is a person rebuilding their life. So what do? At Your Place, we don't offer a single service. We provide a pathway out of homelessness. We support people from crisis through recovery and into independence. And that is through tailored accommodation, tailored support, and helping people move into longer term housing. And importantly, our support continues after people transition into the community. At the centre of all of this work is our support workers. They build relationships day to day, supporting people through crisis, helping them engage with services and building trust over time. And that consistency is what enables progress. So who do we support? Our residents, the people we support, often are facing multiple and overlapping challenges. We've received 463 referrals and supported 243 residents. More than half had dyslexia, living with mental health, physical health, and a third of them need drug and alcohol. Over half of our residents have 2 or more of these needs at the same time, which really highlights the level of complexity. We are also seeing that 51% of our residents are under the age of 35, and this group faces multiple barriers on top of the homelessness. They are limited to shared accommodation, often with stable options and a few options. And beyond that, housing access to employment training could be a real challenge due to gaps in experience, confidence, and ongoing health needs. So with that level of need, what difference does this support make? 73 residents have moved into new homes and 91 sustained their tenancies. 94 told us that they feel more confident to live independently, and the majority rated the support they receive positively. Those are strong outcomes, particularly given the complexity of need, and they reflect the impact of consistent person-centered support delivered day to day. Right? But impact isn't just about housing, it's about what comes next. 76% of our residents engage in meaningful activity, and 37 have secured or sustained long-term employment. Those are the building blocks of the future for long-term independence, helping people build routine and stability and confidence. Also, a stable base allows people to connect with essential services. In our Harbour project, 94.7% of our residents were linked with mental health support and 95 were engaging with physical health services. For many, this is the first time in years they've been able to access consistent care. This work doesn't happen in isolation. We work in a multidisciplinary network alongside health services, mental health services, substance use and social care. Many of the people we support face real barriers to access these services, so a key part of our role is helping them engage and stay connected. When we talk about pathways, we mean how someone moves from crisis into independence. And for many of our residents, we are that bridge connecting services and helping those pathways make possible. Alongside the impact, we've also reflected what this work has been teaching us. Firstly, support works when it's consistent and person-centred. It's those trusted relationships that enable progress over time. Secondly, housing alone is not enough. People need access to the right support, services and opportunities to move forward. And finally, a clear pathway is critical. Without them, people become stuck, even when they're ready to take the next step. So our focus is not just supporting the moment, but creating pathways that allow people to build lasting independence. And that's where your support makes a real difference. This work is about more than just providing accommodation. So it's about the relationships that we build with our residents, the opportunities, and also the involvement that we have in terms of them building their future. Thank you for being part of that.
Thank you, Fauzia. Before we continue on to our next speaker, we have a short video from a current resident, Darren, where he talks about his experience firsthand here at your place.
Then I ended up in a shed for 3 weeks. And
sorry, I think you need to unmute for the sound to work.
Apologies. Let me start that.
I ended up in a shed for 3 weeks. And now I'm here. I'll do it. And I did the R line, did the low line. Very low. I'm here. I'm okay. I have been here just over 2 months, and what I've experienced is second to none. The staff are absolutely wonderful. Staff want to help you progress. I'm going to get my CSCS card. I'm going to go back to doing the training course. You know, I'm 53 years of age and I should be doing this sort of stuff, but I've got to, But I wouldn't have done it without the help of the staff here. Tomorrow, I think the world of it. I remember the first day I moved in, she opened the front door, and I had all the suitcases and stuff. And she went, I'm your key worker. She can't do more than what she does to help people, but she really does help people. And she's helping us so much. I'm looking forward to going back to work. I'm looking forward to help myself with this place. Because knowing that I've got such a beautiful room to come home to, sorry, not it's the flat. And I could do my own cooking, I could do this, I could do that. Just the comfortability of coming home, knowing we've got this place. And I will do that, because I will go back to work. That's what I need to do. And I've got to. So yeah, I am going to. 100%. And when I go, I know I'm home. I know I'm inside my own place. When I first arrived there, the only thing they always said to me, this is your home. I was a little bit taken aback, but just knowing that I can keep putting that key on the door and then shut the door, knowing that that's my home. That is my home. Just the sense of that welcoming when you come back. So we can open up a place like this, a Harbour project, in every town, not city, every town. Because it's made up and everything else for me.
He isn't on the webinar with us today, but nevertheless, a big thank you to Darren for sharing that powerful experience. Stories like that remind us why this work matters. And to build on that momentum, I'm delighted to welcome our next speaker, Anna. Anna is one of our support workers, and she'll be sharing what frontline support really looks like, supporting residents through crisis, chaos and vulnerability, whilst helping people slowly rebuild their trust, stability and a sense of meaning in their lives. So Anna, over to you.
Thank you, Anwar. Hello, my name is Anna and I'm a support worker in the intensive support service here at Anchor House, your place. My team supports residents who are often facing multiple challenges at once. In addition to homelessness, they require support with mental health difficulties, substance use, trauma, offending behavior, and social isolation, to just name a few. It may appear to some that support work is mostly appointments and paperwork, and there is some of that, of course. Honestly, there's a lot of that, a lot of paperwork and appointments. But my role is more about building relationships and helping people take small steps towards believing stability is achievable for them. I often think of my role as helping people make sense of chaos, not by fixing everything for them, but by walking alongside them while they figure out what comes next. So today I'd like to share a little of what that work looks like on the front line. When people think about homelessness services, they often think about housing, and housing is so incredibly important. We never have enough of it, but it's rarely enough. Because without tailored support, it's so easy to succumb to a vicious cycle of improvement, decline, eviction, rough sleeping. An ISS intensive support service is meant to bridge that gap. A typical day might involve planning to support someone to attend an appointment they've been avoiding for months, and I have rescheduled numerous times. It could be planned key work sessions or catching the resident when they pass and sitting down with them over a coffee, because that's the only way that they will engage that day. It might be checking on someone's welfare because the presentation required enhanced welfare checks or just because we are concerned. It might be liaising with the maintenance team to fix a leaking shower or requesting a bioclean of a room. It could be helping someone understand a letter, manage benefits, access healthcare, or navigate multiple services that don't always talk to each other. And sometimes it means responding to crisis and making sure someone stays safe. I often joke that some days it's coffee, some days it's naloxone, and most days it's somewhere in between. I walked residents to appointments because they were too anxious to go alone. I celebrated someone taking a shower after weeks of self-neglect because that was a huge achievement for them. I spent 2 weeks trying to engage someone who kept avoiding support, only to have the breakthrough conversation happen unexpectedly over a totally unrelated issue. What connects all of this is relationship. Many of the people we support have experienced trauma, rejection, loss, or repeated disappointment from people, systems, and services. Trust isn't automatic, and we are not owed it just by virtue of providing support. It's built through hundreds of small interactions where somebody learns what you will, It's built through hundreds of small interactions where somebody learns that you will keep showing up. And now I'd like to tell you about one of our residents. We'll call him S. When S arrived at Anchor House, he had experienced years of homelessness and instability. He was living with significant mental health challenges, active substance use, severe self-neglect. and a great deal of emotional pain. I saw a person who was so exhausted and struggling to imagine a different future. Supporting us wasn't about one big intervention, it was daily conversations, welfare checks, encouragement to attend appointments, support through relapses and setbacks, working alongside mental health services, substance misuse teams, social care, the police, and all the other professionals. Most importantly, it was about being consistent. Over time, as began to open up more, he started talking about his fears, his loneliness, his grief, and his hopes for the future. Those conversations happened because trust had been built slowly over time. One thing he told me later has always stayed with me. He shared that he once returned to the service on his birthday, intending to end his life. He later reflected that a small act of kindness from staff made him feel less alone during that moment. And all we did was leave a chocolate bar in his room with a note wishing him happy birthday. It wasn't a dramatic intervention. It was simply somebody showing care at a time when he needed it most. And this is often what this work looks like. One thing this work teaches you very quickly is that recovery is rarely linear. We often imagine progress as a straight line, but that isn't what most people's journeys look like. There were setbacks, there were relapses, there were periods of disengagement, there were extremely unsafe, risky behaviors. There were times when progress felt frustratingly slow. And more recently, there have been further challenges and periods where things have deteriorated again. This is the reality of supporting people who are living with trauma, addiction, mental ill health, and years of instability. But despite all of that, important thing changed. S stayed in accommodation longer than he ever had before. He became more engaged with support. He became more honest about challenges he was facing. He began talking about rehabilitation and what a different future might look like. His rehab funding has actually been approved recently, pending an assessment, which took place yesterday, and he aced it. Whether that journey goes smoothly or not, he is in a very different place from where he started. For me, one of the most important lessons in this work is that success rarely looks dramatic. Success isn't usually somebody walking out the door with everything fixed. Sometimes success is that somebody is still here, still alive, still talking, still willing to engage. And when setbacks happen, there is still a relationship, there is still support, and there is still somewhere to come back to. Sometimes this is where the real change begins. And this is why the support matters. The work I've described takes time. It takes patience. It takes consistency. It takes compassionate, trained staff who can keep showing up even when progress isn't immediate and outcomes aren't neat. The conversations, the coffee, the welfare checks, crisis support, advocacy, the countless small moments that never appear in reports or statistics, those things are possible because people choose to support organizations like your place. Behind every outcome is a relationship. And behind every relationship is the support that allows us to be there in the first place. Thank you for making that possible.
Thank you, Anna. That was really eye-opening. And now for our final speaker, we shall turn to Shannon, our housing services team leader. She'll talk about the support that we provide to help transition into independent living and the challenges our residents face. So Shannon, over to you.
Thank you, Omar, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shannon, the Housing Services Team Leader here at Your Place. Today, I'll be talking to you about an important aspect of my role, Move On, and the impact it has on our resident. Move On is not just about leaving our services, it's about our residents being ready, supported, and confident. It is at the heart of what we do. Through ongoing support, practical guidance, and relationship-based care, we equip residents with the tools they need to successfully maintain long-term accommodation. We also facilitate move-on information sessions to get our residents ready. These sessions cover key areas such as their entitlement, local housing allowance rates, move-on options, affordability, budgeting, and the support they will receive after they leave your place. Support workers also have regular conversation around Move On in their key working sessions, and I also have an open door where they can come in to discuss their move on. Should it be that they only need further information, or they simply just want to have a chat about move on and what that will look like after they've moved out from us. And that preparation is having an impact. Last year, 94% of residents at the point of movement reported being more confident to live independently because of the support they received from your place. Each resident has a move-on plan which outlines their move-on options. These will be determined by their needs, eligibility, and affordability. Our main move-on option are through the local authority placements, which are special schemes nomination, or through their homeless prevention team clearinghouse, which provides supported accommodation for up to 2 years for residents who's got a history of sleeping. Private rented sector, which is our main move-on option, we work with reputable landlord who will provide move-on accommodation for residents. Due to affordability, this is mainly a room in a shared house. We also work with sheltered accommodation for those over 55. We have a good working relationship with a housing association who, due to our relationship, will always call us first when they've got a void or an upcoming void available property. We do not simply just move residents on. We provide up to 9 months of resettlement support after they leave our service. This support ensures they are fully settled into their new homes and feel confident in maintaining their accommodation. Our support includes help with setting up and registering for utility bills, connecting residents with the local services, ensuring they feel settled in their property and community, and addressing any other challenges they may encounter during the transition. If support is required beyond the initial 9 months period, we continue to offer support or signpost residents to appropriate agency that can affect them further. That can assist them further. Over the past year, 100% of residents we moved on have successfully sustained their tenancy, something we're really proud of. Many of the residents stay in touch with us, even after their support has ended. They sometimes pop in to let us know how they're getting on, or even to tell us they've secured a job. For me, it's always a joy to see people I've supported still remembers me when I run into them on the street or even in the local shops. They often stop to say hello, express their thanks again, and share updates on how well they're doing, and also confirming they're still in the same property. Although we have successfully supported 73 residents to move into their new homes over the last year, we continue to face several key barriers. These barriers are often limited availability of or affordable accommodation, a shortage of suitable or supported housing options, and a lack of appropriate accommodation for individuals, especially those under 35. This is due to the benefit cap. These challenges mean that some people stay in our hostel longer than they should. For example, a young resident who you'll hear from shortly stayed at your place for a number of years because move-on options were just not within her reach due to the availability, affordability, and government support that falls very short of real cost. In response to these systematic barriers, we've had to be innovative in our approach to support people to progress when they're ready to do so. Thanks to an incredible generous donation, we were able to purchase 3 resettlement flats nearby in Newham, which we opened earlier this year. We have already supported 5 residents to move into this accommodation. The resettlement flat offers residents the time, space, and stability needed to adjust to independent living. Support continues to ensure residents have the tools, confidence, and community they need to succeed. However, the emphasis on autonomy is what sets model apart. empowering people to build confidence and independence while knowing support is there when they need it. These homes are, however, time limited, typically for a period of up to 24 months, ensuring others can benefit in the future while resident takes meaningful steps towards independence. Charlotte, who I've mentioned earlier, is one of the residents we have supported through this initiative, and you'll hear her story in a moment. Essentially, Move On is the goal for every one of the residents that walks through our doors. The journey and destination will look different for everyone, but we're here to end homelessness one person at a time. There's something special about supporting someone as they move on from homelessness and into the place they call their own. Being part of a fresh start, helping them settle in, it means a lot. It's not always easy, but it's always rewarding. Seeing someone open a door for to their new home for the first time never gets old to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon, and thank you to all our speakers for sharing their insight today. I think it would be fitting to round off today's webinar with a glimpse into the impact that you have made at your place, with some final words from another resident, Charlotte, before Fauzia takes us through our final slide.
So I was living with my mum in our family home in Newham when our landlord repossessed the property. We didn't have anywhere to go, so my mum asked my auntie, who also lived in East London, if there was any space for us to move in with them. But the reality was their house was already overcrowded. There wasn't any space for both of us, but my mum did move in there. I ended up staying with a friend and her family for about a year while I finished sixth form. But then when my friend left that property, I couldn't stay there living with her parents, and then I had nowhere to go. But when I got a room at your place, I was just overwhelmed. I remember walking in and thinking, like, this place is so big. It felt like university accommodation. There were so many people around and kind of like real adults everywhere. But it didn't take long for it to feel like home, and I loved having my own cozy space. I tried to kind of keep myself to myself. So it took me a little while to feel fully settled and comfortable using the shared spaces, especially kind of like the kitchen and the lounge. But I'm a good cook, and once people started asking what I was making, it became a really nice way to chat and get to know others. I then started attending residence meetings, which helped me feel involved and gave me a chance to meet people and have a say in shaping the services and activities that were happening in the building. And I had some really nice neighbours, and my key worker just was amazing. I made sure I never felt alone, and it was like a real comfort knowing that support was always there and that someone always had my back. I was only 19 years old, and I hadn't kind of lived on my own before without my mum, so I kind of really needed that. But earlier this year, your place offered me the opportunity to move into a property. I'd been here for a long time, and because affordable housing is just so hard to find when you're under 25, I jumped at the chance. I was so excited. The team helped me with things like setting up bills, making sure I knew who to contact if there was any issues with the property. They also reminded me that support doesn't stop just because I've moved out, and they'll still be there whenever I need them. When I walked through the front door of my new home for the first time, my jaw dropped. I actually fell to my knees. I was hugging all the staff who helped me move, telling them how grateful I was and thanking God. It was such an emotional moment for me. And now that I'm here, I feel like I'm really starting my life. I'm 24 now. I'm looking forward to growing into myself, having friends over, cooking, and just creating a proper home. I'm just honestly so happy. I'm sharing the flat with another woman from your place, and it's really nice having a familiar face and living with someone who understands what I've been through. We've obviously both been through homelessness, and it just feels really nice. I'm hoping to build up some savings, and I have a dream to start my own skincare business one day in the future. And having the continued support from your place now will make such a difference. And hopefully it will bring me closer to seeing that dream come true one day. I
Thanks, Anwar. As we look ahead, our focus is on building what we know works, and that means in strengthening pathways into housing, employment, and support, particularly for young people who are facing growing barriers. It means that we continue to design services around the reality of ensuring that support is joined up and accessible. And it means also developing new approaches and partnerships that create better outcomes for our residents. And this is very vital. It allows us to respond to gaps, to strengthen pathways, and support more people to move forward and stay there in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Fazia. Everything you've heard today, every story, every success, and every step forward has been made possible because you chose to care. And there is still so much more we can achieve together, whether it's continuing your support, spreading the word, or getting involved in new ways. Your actions genuinely change lives, like Darren and Charlotte's here in Newham. We have a few minutes left, so we'd welcome any questions that you guys might have. You just pop them into the chat, and my contact details are also on screen. So do feel free to get in touch at any point if I or any of the team can be of any of assistance. Thank you all for your input today. And yeah, we will field any questions that you might have.
Well, we got two questions via email, so I'm just going to drop them in the chat now, if that's okay.
Brilliant. Okay, so our first question, when people move into their own place, what kind of support do they still need? Shannon, would you be best placed to answer that one?
Yeah, okay. So when someone moves into their own place, majority of the accommodation, especially those from the clearinghouse or the council, Newham Council itself, are unfurnished. So resident will need support to purchase essential items such as bed, cooker, fridge. And also beddings.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that. The second question we've got down here is, I'd like to get more involved. Where's the best place to start? I think we have our head of fundraising on the call, Dan. Maybe that's one for you.
Yeah, so there's lots of ways to get involved. It sort of depends kind of where you're from. Are you an individual or from a company or a trust or foundation or anything like that? So we have some volunteering options, particularly for corporates. So we often have groups come in and they might help refresh a room or do a workshop with a resident, help provide workshops and employment opportunities. We have people drop off practical things such as food for the food bank, for the residents, which is always useful for kind of that emergency provision, clothing for interviews maybe, and then monetary donations as well to support the kind of work. So people giving regular direct debits or through a company, or people deciding to take on a challenge event like run a marathon or do a community kind of baking or a company sort of potluck at lunchtime and things like that. So there's loads of ways. You can find those on our website, and equally if you drop us an email maybe through Anwar or myself direct, we can get in contact with you and help support you through that journey.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dan. And just checking, we've got one more question there. Okay, this is from Paddy. I understand that there are complex and varied situations with the residents as they arrive. Do you find that this complicates things within the accommodation block or shared spaces, as was mentioned in the previous video from Charlotte, I think that was. Anna, would you be able to field this one?
Do we find that it complicates things? We assess risk quite extensively because before residents are booked in and admitted. But of course, this is a hostel. This is a pressure cooker. We have got so many different individuals with everybody's unique. Everybody's got support needs, higher or lower. So yeah, it complicates things. But you know, that's what we do here. We deal with it on a daily basis. We do this to the best of our ability, and hopefully the risk gets minimized. Does that answer your question? I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understood it.
I think to add to that as well, we've got there's key workers on site during the day. It's a 24-hour provision, so we have people at night as well. There are other sort of protective factors put in, such as we have a floor that's secured for our female residents, so they can feel safe, and we're kind of looking to improve that all the time. So yeah, there's lots of different things done to kind of mitigate the impact of having lots of people maybe with complex needs in one space.
That's brilliant. Thank you both. We don't have any more questions in the chat for now, but if anyone does think of anything, as Dan mentioned, please feel free to get in contact with us on my email on the screen, or you can also reach the same email, but it'd be dan.beacon@yourplace.org.uk. And thank you all for your input. We appreciate you all coming along today, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your afternoon. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.